Hey guys, my name is Erick Calderon, and first and foremost, I'm the founder of Lenovo Tile Importers here in Houston 10 years ago, importer of tile that has gotten me to a point where I can now invest and play around with things that I'm really passionate about. Not that I'm not passionate about tile, I love my business, but I'm in a position now where there's other things that I really enjoy, and I'm just blessed to be in a position that I'm in right now. Thank you for inviting me to come out here. On a secondary part, I'm the founder of Light Art Interactive. Light Art Interactive is a collaborative of products and projects. It's a little tough on the first time. Products and projects that explore how humans interact with light. So we're currently in the middle, almost a little bit past the middle, of a Kickstarter campaign for a product called the Sebbo. It's a little bit brighter too. The Sebbo is basically a programmable and rechargeable LED wristband that is meant to bring color to your life. We're talking about a product that is way more technically advanced than anything out there on the market right now. You go to an event and it's blinky lights and they're in your face and they're really annoying, and I think we're talking about a different type of product altogether. I guess this was taken a couple hours ago. We're 560 backers in, $25,000 towards a $35,000 campaign. Anyways, so Kickstarter campaign to me is validation, period. Of course, we all would like to have the multi-million-dollar Kickstarter campaign, but and I thought there was a chance. Secretly, I'm not going to deny that I thought there was a chance that could happen, because I think that there's a lot of people that would really just love to see this thing. My biggest drawback is that it looks cool on the computer. It looks a lot cooler in person, but we've had a wonderful response from the Kickstarter campaign. We've had amazing distributors reach out, offer capital, which I'm not ready to take, offer, the end users really like it. They're all begging for more than one Sebbo, and investors. I'm going to run through this really fast. So we are, we're looking for 1,000 pledges for Kickstarter to make an initial production run so that we can then turn around and learn the process of manufacturing the product on the first time, and then create a brand consisting of various other products already in the works revolving around the Sebbo Lights concept, so that the next time you go into an electronic music event, even if somebody has ripped off the Sebbo, because it's going to happen, because there's a lot of companies out there that are just going to take the concept and run with it, they're going to call it a Sebbo, the same way that you call it Coca-Cola, some other brand of soft drink that tastes like Coca-Cola. I should have planned this better. Thank you very much.
Thanks. You said, a lot of the sort of what you're looking to is to build a brand, but I noticed the units don't have any branding on them. Are you looking to actually put something on the van so people know that it's not a knockoff?
Part of what I rushed through was the trademarking process. The idea is that we trademark the name Sebbo, and we associate Sebbo with this pattern of light. This pattern of light, this is actually the testing pattern. When you buy an LED light strip, I don't know if any of you guys are hacking with Arduino or playing around with these things, there's a test code that's in the product library, and it's called test code. There's other names for it. And if you download it to the device, it does this. This is not magic, this is not genius, this is not really heavy programming. It's the most simple thing you could possibly do with an LED light strip. But we found that through diffusion, which is what I think is missing severely in the LED industry, where you see all these really flashy things, you can't even look at somebody because it's so bright. Through diffusion, we've created this really subtle and calm effect. And yes, these are prototypes. This is the first prototype. It was made by hand. It's all sewn together, soldered by hand. This is actually the product of a substantial amount of investment in industrial design and electronic engineering. And one of the aspects that we've not been able to include in the prototype is the actual printing on the fabric. Because nobody will print on the fabric in a short enough run, and all the tests that we've done in short run are thick ink that cannot let the light go through. So we have already, the industrial designer has concepts of fabrics that allow light to go through, but not for our prototypes.
Two questions. One is, what is the price that you're thinking of for the bracelet?
Oh.
Well, let me ask the second
$50.
question. The second question would be, are you familiar with a company called Adafruit that sells Flora? that allows you to create these kinds of things in terms of wearables. How would you be different than them, and why couldn't they just say, because you know that they give you the components, and many people are starting to put on their shop different designs and things that we can weave into clothes. So how do you react to that and to their competition?
That's an awesome question. So there's a laboratory here, or a space here called TXRX Labs here in Houston, and my friend Sebastian and I, which developed this product, went there for an intro to Arduino class, went home, went to Adafruit. Well, I call it Adafruit, other people call it Adafruit, whatever. There's also SparkFun and other companies like that. And we bought, this originally was about $70 worth of components. This is 2 years ago, so a lot of things have happened since we first developed the Sebbo. And it took maybe 7 hours of soldering and learning to put it together. Yes, anybody can make this. In fact, we're making all of the schematics for the original Sebbo public. I spent, well, I don't know if this is the type of venue to discuss or disclose costs, but I spent a substantial amount of money working with an electronic engineer to develop a flexible circuit that includes all 18 LEDs, the processor, a reset button, a USB input. All of that I'm not going to disclose, at least not up front. Sure. Any manufacturer can take that, tear it apart, and reproduce it in weeks. That's not the point. The point is not to try to be exclusive of the product. The point is to have this color pattern, which you've probably seen before. Downtown Houston has part of the light rail that has a really cool little part where it's like an artistic sculpture or whatever. I'm just trying to associate this color pattern with the name Sebbo and then build a brand from there.
You said it's programmable. Who would you think would program it? The customer or an event planner that wants everyone to be wearing?
There's two sides of that. Part of the programmability is one of this one just came in today as prototype. It's a brand new one, I'm really excited about it, but I haven't loaded our new firmware onto it. We just literally received it a couple hours ago. One of the ways of programming it is that it has a button on it. It's just one button. The entire software, the entire firmware runs on one button. And one of the settings is a color picker mode. So it goes through the entire cycle of colors. All of the lights go through all the colors. You double click, you pick that color. You double click, half of the bracelet stays that color, the other half goes through the entire cycle of colors. And you can actually pick 6 colors for it to flash in this kind of fashion, like on the fly. Well, I think, overestimated just from the excitement. I think that part of being an entrepreneur, part of the problem of being an entrepreneur is how excited you get about what you do. We severely overestimated the, lack of a better word, geeky, techie market, in the sense that I don't think that, whereas originally, this is based on Arduino technology. It's an open source technology. There's an Arduino compatible processor in that thing, and literally, if you can go online and you can read a very simple instruction manual, you can download Arduino, you can download the drivers on how to install that, and reading a little bit of code and tutorials, you can actually program that to do whatever you want. In fact, my color picker is only the one that we decided on firmware, is only one of like 7 different options that we chose. And part of developing this product is creating a user community where you can actually go online and cut and paste and make these things do completely custom things. So that's the first way. So the first way is just doing it live with a bracelet. So if you're going to RocketScape, you can make it flash red and white. And the second way is that you can actually go online and program it yourself.
Yeah, this is pretty far away from the world that I typically invest in. Although I will say that, so my brother, he was much cooler than I am. He's had an LED belt buckle for a long time. And he's programmed it to say, looking for love, see above, ready to go, see below. But I remember when he bought that, the belt buckle, I remember seeing like the invoice number on it, and he was like buyer number like 11,000 in the country on it, and I think this goes back to the point that you had earlier, which is you and I are techie geeks, and so you and I will buy this stuff, and we think it's the best thing ever. But that actual market size maybe isn't as big as we'd like. And so I'm actually really excited by the prospect of you going to Kickstarter and getting some backers for the project, because I think that's probably the most efficient way on the planet to find those other techies. I guess I have less in the form of questions for you, but I've got more in terms of advice. And so for me, the advice component here is, I mean, if this is the path you want to go down, I would spend a fair amount of time trying to figure out how to make this more more consumer centric from the standpoint of you need to find a way to kind of dumb down the interface for interacting with the consumers. And I think the path in front of you is actually pretty obvious. I mean, so look at what the guys at Fitbit have done around like pedometers, right? For like $100, I pay $100 for like an $8 pedometer that just happens to have a nice UI on the front of it, right? And so I would spend some time maybe looking at like what some of the more consumer-friendly wearables have done on their side, and then try to use that to adapt to what you're doing. That's my own comment.
Can I comment on that, or is that?
Please.
So a comment on that is just very simply, on the Kickstarter campaign, we get messages from people, and I can't tell you how many people have messaged me and they're like, hey man, it'd be a really good idea for you to make it Bluetooth and you can have it interact with your phone. And I think it's valid. In fact, we all thought about this at one point, or like the Coldplay concert, I don't know if you ever saw a Coldplay concert where everyone was given a little LED bracelet and they all flashed at the same time. Well, I love those things. I mean, just as a techie person, like I hang out and I love those things, but the point of this device is that I'm competing with a glow stick. And so a glow stick is $5 or $8. And every single one of those things that we add to it not only adds cost of manufacturing or component cost, but also in programming costs. So yes, approaching that consumer is way more difficult than I expected it to be. But I think it's very attainable because we've kept this thing literally as simple as possible. There's no microphone in here that goes to the music. In fact, there was one of my favorite meetings I ever had. I met with the founder of Culture Map, and he sat down and I was telling him about it. He's like, "Look, man, you're really talking way about these parties." And I mean, obviously, like I like to go to these electronic music festivals, and I like to go to music festivals. Period. And I like to do a lot of things where these things are very appropriate. However, this individual said, what about the University of Texas? You have all the alumni on this side of the stadium, and they have way more money than they know what to do with necessarily. Why not give them an option of something that they can walk into the stadium and it's just flashing white and orange? They'll pay $25 for a foam finger. I mean, we're really talking about $25 for a foam finger that you can't use it anywhere else. But this time you can buy this for the University of Texas game, and then when your kids are trick-or-treating and you want to know where they are, you program it to the family colors. And then you can see it from a mile away, because you can literally see it from a mile away. And one story, I guess, just to tell you real quick about that. I was at a festival, and there was 30,000 people in the audience, and I had to use the restroom. And I literally said to my friends, I said, in 5 minutes, raise your hand. And I'm talking 30,000 people at a music festival that had to do with electronic music. So every single person in the entire audience was wearing a glow stick. And all I did was go like this, and immediately I was able to spot it. There's nothing else on the market that diffuses, that changes colors like this, that does what this does. It's a little ahead of its time, maybe. I don't know. $50 is a lot of money for a really high-tech glow stick. But the uses are, but I think that there's a lot of uses for it, and I think we can continue to find these uses over time.
So I have a quick question about your IP. So trademark is the only thing that you're going to do right now?
No.
Okay, so explain.
So my first investment, this is the first thing I've ever invested in outside of my own business, which has just been crazy sweat equity over the last 10 years. My first investment was provisional patent. And we applied for a provisional patent application, and the lawyer, really, really, really awesome guy, is kind of looking at me. I feel like what? You're excited about this thing that lights up. And we filed a patent, and we did the research. Part of doing the provisional patent, and this is just my opinion, because the lawyer will never sit there and tell you, yes, you can patent this. And in fact, the answers are so vague, it's frightening how vague the responses are. So in my opinion, the only point of a provisional patent application for me initially was the research.
I'll introduce you to a better lawyer.
Awesome. He's a really good guy. I really do enjoy him. But you really do, you have this whole research concept, and when you research it, you find out that there's nothing else necessarily like it on the market. It's amazing how a couple weeks after we filed our patent, a provisional patent was filed for the same similar kind of device, not animated, that has a microphone in it. And then a week after that, a device that has a Bluetooth transmitter in it. So, I don't know how the whole patent system works. It kind of makes me nervous. We're not going to pursue the provisional patent we're not going to pursue the utility patent because it's going to get ripped off. No matter what you do, the people, for example, the music festival market, which is one of the fastest growing industries in the music industry right now, those kids don't care if it's an official Sebbo Lights wristband or if it's just something that somebody made that's only going to last that one time and it's going to cost $10. They don't really care. They don't care that it has an Arduino processor in it. But I want them to call it a Sebbo because I want to build a brand over time for this type of stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah? Huh?
Maybe we wanted to get it done. Yeah. Thank you guys very